Chapter 9, August 6th. I woke up this morning thinking I'll never see Sammy again. I'll never see Dan again. I'm so scared I'll never see Dad again. I don't know how I'll survive if I never see sunlight again. August 7th. I went into Matt's room before supper to see if he had any library books to return tomorrow. Matt walked in as I was looking. "What the hell are you doing in my room?" he shouted. I was so startled that I just stood there. "I've been chopping wood all day. I'm tired and filthy and hungry, and I have to be with Johnny every damn minute. And I swear I could kill Dad for not staying here to take care of us." I'm sorry. Thank you, Elsa. So am I. Fat lot good that does. August 9th. What a weird day. We're all in a funk. You would think knowing we actually have food in the house would cheer us up, but nothing seems to. I've noticed that Mom's skipping breakfast again, and for the past couple days I haven't seen her eat lunch either. Matt's been chopping wood all day long, so I guess he's not eating any lunch. He hasn't been real chatty lately. Nobody's telling me what to do, so I guess I better go back to brunch also. It scares me that Mom is eating less when we do have food in the house. It must mean that she doesn't think the stuff Dad brought and the stuff we had before he came is going to last long enough. You've got to think something in this world will get back to normal. It does. I don't remember the last time we had electricity, not even for a few minutes in the middle of the night. Mom makes sure to, at least one of us goes into town every day to see if there's any news or at the post office. It's become kind of a community bulletin board, or if there's a food giveaway. But we all come back home empty-handed. It's getting colder today too. The temperature never even hit 60 in August. That would be nuts. August 11th, first frost. Just a light one, but nonetheless. "Why are we even staying here?" Johnny asked me this morning. "Everybody else is moving south." "Everybody else isn't moving," I said, mostly because I was flustered by the question. Johnny's never been much of a talker, but since he came home from camp, he's been quieter. He's been even quieter than usual. It's like this whole business has made him old before he even has a chance to be a teenager. "Half the kids at camp said their families were planning to move," Johnny said, "and camp was less than half full. I ran into Aaron in town yesterday. He said so many kids from school already left that they're talking about closing down some of the schools." Aaron isn't exactly a reliable witness. His father's on the school board. Okay, so he is a reliable witness. But we're not going anywhere, and you better not talk to Mom about it. Do you think we should go? Okay. It felt so strange because he sounded like I do when I ask Matt stuff like that. "Well, we can't leave Mrs. Nesbit," I said, "and to get in our car and drive someplace without knowing where we'd end up or if there'd be food there or a place to live. Some people can do that. I don't think Mom can." "Well, maybe one of us should go. Matt or me. You can stay here with Mom and Mrs. Nesbit." "You're not old enough. Stop thinking about it. We'll be okay. We have food. We have wood. We've got some oil in the furnace. Things are bound to get better. They can't get worse." That's what they all say, and they've all been wrong. August 14th. At supper tonight, canned chicken and mixed vegetables, Johnny said, "I know my birthday's coming up, but I don't expect any presents, so don't worry about it." I had totally forgotten about Johnny's birthday. When I list all the things I miss, I need to include shopping. Mom said that was very mature of Johnny, and she had to admit that she didn't have anything for his birthday. But that didn't mean we weren't going to make it a special day, which I guess means extra vegetable at supper, or maybe some canned fruit salad for dessert. Or maybe we'll drink that bottle of wine Peter brought and get all drunk. It kind of annoys me that Johnny's making these big grown-up gestures and I'm not. I can't exactly say I don't worry about my birthday since it's in March, and I think we'll have lots of other stuff to worry about between now and then. I'm back to 2 meals a day, but that's not exactly a big grown-up gesture around here. Also, even though none of us is saying it, we're all worried because there's been no word from Dad. The mail is so weird. Letters can take 2 weeks to arrive, and probably a lot of mail doesn't make it through at all. There's no reason to think we'd have heard anything by now, but it's scary to think of him and Lisa driving into the void. Mom listens to the radio every morning, and I'm pretty sure that if the rest of the United States have evaporated or something, she would mention it. So Dad and Lisa are probably safe wherever they are. Still, we'd like to hear. August 15th. I asked Mom if things were better than they had been. Had all the bad stuff, the floods, earthquakes, and volcanoes stopped? She said no, that the moon's gravitational pull had changed. Things could never go back the way they'd been. "But things aren't getting any worse," I said. Mom obviously didn't feel like answering that. "How could they get much worse? How much worse can they get?" I asked. Well, Mom explained that there were volcanoes erupting in all kinds of unexpected places, like Montreal. That's in Canada. It seems there's a volcano there that's never erupted because the Earth's crust has been so thick. But now that the moon's pull is so much stronger, the lava was able to break through the crust. The volcanoes cause fires and earthquakes cause fires, and tsunamis get bigger and bigger. So there's less and less coastline, and people are fleeing to places with volcanoes and earthquakes and floods. So things are getting worse, even in the stable places. And of course, there are epidemics. We know all about that, huh? Once mom got started, there was no stopping her. We already had 3 nights with frost, but New England and the upper Midwest had already had weeks of killing frost. All the crops have died. Oh, and there was an earthquake right by a nuclear power plant, and it exploded or something. I think it was California. So now do you see how lucky we are? She demanded. I never said we weren't, I yelled, because I hadn't, or at least I hadn't today. All I did was ask if things were getting better, which isn't exactly the same as saying I wish we had electricity and hot chocolate and television and prom with an actual date to look forward to, all of which I think about every morning when I wake up and every night when I go to sleep. Don't you take that tone with me, Mom shouted. What tone? You're the one who's using a tone. How come you can just yell at me and I have to take it? And then we really went at it, which we haven't done in weeks, not since that whole horrible business with Horton. How ungrateful I am, how I just sit around and do nothing, how self-pitying I am. You're damn right I'm self-pitying, I shouted back at her. Why shouldn't I be? It's bad enough my life is stuck like this and I have no idea if I'm going to survive. I'm stuck with a mother who doesn't love me. I should have gone with Dad and Lisa. He loves me even if you don't. Go. Just get out. I don't even want to look at you. I was so stunned it took me a moment to run out of the house, but once I did, I had no idea where to go or what to do. I got on my bike and let my legs tell me where to go, and much to my surprise, although I guess not my leg surprise, I ended up at Megan's. Megan's mom looked about 10 years older than she had when I saw her last month. I smiled, but she smiled when she saw me, and like it was the most normal thing for me to popping over for a visit. At least she didn't remind me of Becky's mom anymore. Megan's in her room. She'll be glad to see you. I went up to Megan's room. For a moment, I wondered what the hell I was doing there, but I knocked on the door and told her it was me and went in. Megan was lying on her bed reading the Bible. It was scary seeing how thin she'd gotten, but she didn't look crazy or anything. And these days, you take what you can get. Miranda, I'm so happy you're here. Sit, tell me everything. So I did. Every single thing. Mom, the fights, Johnny, Matt, Dad, Lisa Horton, and how Dan was going to ask me to the prom, only now he's gone. I must have talked nonstop for half an hour when Megan interrupting me only to ask a question or make some kind of sympathetic noise. Boy, your life is terrible. I didn't know whether to burst into tears or laughter. Laughter won. I know. I'd laugh too, though. I'm having one of those, except for that Mrs. Lincoln, how did you like the play moments? I said. Everyone is, even you. Megan nodded. I know what I need to do, and I'm doing the best I can. But even though I know it's God's will and I can't question, I want to know Mom's soul is saved, and Dad's, and yours, and everyone else I've ever loved. I pray and pray, but I don't think it's making any difference. We're all in hell, Miranda. God knows what's best for us, but it's still hell. Does Reverend Marshall think that way? I asked. I was pretty shocked to hear Megan talk like that. He says God is punishing us for our sins. We're all sinners. I know how sinful I am. I covet things, Miranda. Oh, food. I covet food so much sometimes, and I have lustful thoughts. Don't look so shocked. I'm 16. Don't you think I've ever had a lustful thought? For who? Tim Jenkins and James Bell and Mr. Martin. Oh, we all had crushes on Mr. Martin. Half the girls in the Howell High was going to hell if having a crush on Mr. Martin is a sin. But Tim Jenkins, I didn't think he was your type. He's kind of wild, Megan. I know. I used to think if he loved me, I could get him to reform, but that wasn't how I lusted after him, if you know what I mean. I didn't lust after him just so I could save his soul. And Reverend Marshall thinks all this horrible stuff has happened because you lusted for Tim Jenkins. Well, that's kind of simplistic. My point is, I'm much as a sinner as anybody else, and I've hardly had a chance to do anything. I might have lustful thoughts, but Sammy's actually done something with hers. And if God's angry with me, well, then He's angry with her too. And it's pretty much everybody on earth. We really have made a giant mess of things. Speak for yourself, I grumbled, and we both laughed. I can't believe the moon came crashing in because I wanted to go to prom with Dan. And what's the point of God making us human if he doesn't want us to act like we're human? To see if we can rise above our natures. Eve got Adam to eat the apple, and that was the end of the Garden of Eden. It all comes back to food, doesn't it? I said, and we laughed again. I can't tell you how it felt to be laughing with Megan. I know she's crazy to be flinging herself into death with so many people dying. You practically have to take a number and wait your turn. And she looked like a talking skeleton, but she was still Megan. And for the first time since all this happened, I felt like I got something back. I think I'll go home. I don't have any else place to go. Miranda nodded. Miranda? She took one of those long pauses I've come to expect from people. Miranda, I don't know if we're going to see each other again. Of course we will. Or are you and your mother plan on leaving? I think she'll go after I die, but we're staying here until then. Well, in that case, I'm sure I'll see you again. Megan shook her head. Don't come back. I have to show God I'm truly repentant. And I can't do that if you make me think about Tim Jenkins and food and how awful things are. I don't want to be angry at God, and seeing you makes me feel that way just a little bit. So I can't see you again. I have to sacrifice our friendship because I don't have much left I can sacrifice to prove to God how much I love him. I hate your God. Find your own then. Go, Miranda, please. And if you ever hear from Sammy, tell her I prayed for her every day, just like I prayed for you. I will, Megan. Goodbye, Megan. And then the worst thing happened. She'd been propped up on her bed for the whole time I'd been there. But when I got ready to go, she struggled to get off the bed, and I could see how she barely had the strength to stand. She had to support herself as we hugged and kissed, and she fell in the bed. I'm fine. Go, Miranda. I love you. I love you too, I said, and I ran away from her. I ran from the house even without even saying goodbye to her mother. And I got back on my bike and rode straight home. I probably burned off 3 days worth of calories. I rode so fast. I put the bike in the garage and raced in the house. Mom was sitting in the kitchen sobbing. Mom, I cried and flung myself in her arms. She hugged me so hard I could hardly breathe. Oh, Miranda, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry too. And I was. Not for anything I said early, but I was sorry because I made mom worry, and there's nothing I can do to keep her from worrying. I love her so much. In a world there's so little good, she's good. And sometimes I forget that or resent it. But she is good, and she loves me, and every thought she has to protect Matt and Johnny and me. If God's looking for sacrifices, all he has to do is look at mom. August 18th, Johnny's birthday. Mom took the afternoon off, and we played baseball. We took turns catching, pitching, fielding, and hitting. Mom hit a ball so long it took Matt 5 minutes to find it. Then we went to Mrs. Nesbitt's for dinner. I have to admit, that was kind of a nice change, eating around somebody else's kitchen table. She made quite the meal for us. We started with fruit salad, and then we had tuna noodle casserole and peas. For dessert, she made oatmeal raisin cookies that Johnny's always loved. I could tell Mom was concerned because all that good oatmeal was going to cookies, but she had two anyway. The rest of us pigged out. I know I ate at least 4 cookies, which probably guarantees me a first-class ticket to hell for gluttony. But Mrs. Nesbitt beamed while we were eating. She must have been planning those cookies for weeks now, and she pulled off the surprise. Johnny said he wanted to make a speech, so we cheered him on. He actually stood up, and I guess he'd been working on what he wanted to say because it was pretty close to perfect. He said he knew times were tough now and that we didn't know if the future was going to get any better, but the important thing was we had each other, and as long as we stuck together, we could make it through. He even said he loved us. Mom was crying, but they were happy tears. I know because I shed a few myself. It's funny. I remember my birthday so vividly, the fights Mom and I had because I wanted a big boy-girl party and Mom wanted something simpler and easier. And I said, trust! And she yelled, temptation, right back at me. We started fighting over it the day after her birthday. And I don't think we stopped until the day before mine. 4 weeks of fighting over the kind of party I would have. In the end, it was perfectly fine. Boys, girls, pizza, cake, no beer, and a certain amount of unsupervised making out. It's hard to believe I was ever that young. I guess Johnny will never be.